If you're listening to this, don't forget to subscribe, because what I'm about to share is the most terrifying experience of my life. An experience that I still struggle to believe happened at all. My name is Michael Harrison. I'm a photographer from Colorado, and until last year I would have laughed at anyone who claimed aliens were real. But something happened to me. Something I can't explain away as a dream, a trick of light, or a hallucination. And the worst part is, I'm not sure they're done with me. It started on a cold October night when I drove out to the edge of Pike National Forest to capture long exposure shots of the stars. Photography had always been my escape, my way of finding beauty when the rest of life felt gray. I parked my old Jeep Cherokee on a gravel turnout, hiked up a short ridge, and set up my tripod with a perfect view of the night sky. The air was crisp, silent, almost too silent. I remember looking up and feeling swallowed by the darkness, the Milky Way cutting across the heavens like a river of light. For hours I shot photos, checking my camera, adjusting the settings, just enjoying the peace. But then I noticed something strange in my shots, something that wasn't there when I looked with my eyes. A faint blur, like a glowing smudge, hovering above the treeline. At first, I thought it was lens flare or maybe even a satellite streak. But when I pointed my camera directly at it and zoomed in, the shape was too defined. Oval, sharp at the edges, pulsing faintly with a blue-white light. My stomach tightened. I lowered the camera, but the sky looked empty. Yet the next photo proved it was still there. I felt ridiculous, like I was scaring myself with some photographic artifact. But the longer I stood there, the more unsettled I became. That's when I heard it, the low, humming vibration. It wasn't coming from my equipment or the forest around me. It was inside me, like a sound too low for human ears but strong enough to rattle bones. My chest vibrated, my teeth buzzed. I turned, scanning the sky, and then I saw it. The blur wasn't a blur anymore. A craft, no other word for it, slid silently from behind the ridge. It didn't move like a plane or helicopter. It didn't sway, didn't tilt. It glided, perfectly stable, with no visible wings, no rotors, no exhaust. The glow intensified as it hovered above the treetops, and I felt a sudden instinct to run. But I couldn't. My legs were frozen, my mind stuck between disbelief and terror. Then the humming grew louder. My camera began to glitch, the screen flickering with static. I grabbed it and shoved it into my bag, forcing myself to move, to run back toward my car. My boots crunched the gravel, but the sound was drowned out by the rising vibration. I glanced over my shoulder and nearly tripped. The craft was following me. Not fast, not aggressive, just drifting forward as if curious. My Jeep was only 100 feet away, but it felt like miles. By the time I reached it, my whole body was shaking. I slammed the driver's door open, threw myself inside, and turned the key. The engine sputtered, coughed, and died. I tried again. Nothing. The lights on the dashboard flickered weakly and went dark. My heart pounded so hard I thought I'd pass out. Outside the windshield, the glow bathed the forest in pale light. And then it started to descend. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. Even though the Jeep was useless now, nothing more than a metal coffin. The glow from above flooded through the windshield, washing the dashboard in a cold, sterile blue. I could hear nothing but that low vibration. It wasn't just sound anymore. It was pressure, like invisible hands squeezing the air from my lungs. I ducked down, trying to make myself invisible, but some primal instinct told me it didn't matter. They already knew exactly where I was. Against all logic, I opened the door and bolted. My boots slammed into the gravel, and I sprinted down the narrow road, deeper into the forest, thinking maybe the trees could shield me, maybe I could hide. I didn't look back for a good 30 seconds, but when I finally did, my stomach dropped. The craft hadn't stayed by my Jeep. It was following me. Not fast, not in any way that seemed rushed. It just hovered above the treeline, gliding silently, keeping pace as if it had all the time in the world. And then, without warning, a beam of light lanced down from its underside, cutting through the darkness like a knife. It wasn't a flashlight beam. It was alive, moving, scanning. When it touched the ground, the dirt and leaves seemed to shimmer, almost ripple, like heat over asphalt. The light passed dangerously close to me, and I threw myself behind a fallen log, pressing my body flat to the earth. The humming intensified. My teeth rattled. My skull buzzed with pain. And for a second I thought I could hear something layered under the vibration. A voice or voices. Not words I could understand, but tones, syllables like a chorus whispering directly inside my brain. I squeezed my eyes shut, clutching my head, willing it to stop. And just like that, the light vanished. The forest went dark again, but the silence was worse than the sound. I lifted my head slowly, my breath fogging in the cold night air, and the trees above me exploded with light. The beam had returned, brighter, blinding, searing my vision. Before I could move, before I could even scream, my body lifted off the ground. Not like jumping or being pulled. I was weightless, suspended, my arms pinned to my sides by something unseen. I kicked, thrashed, but my limbs didn't respond the way they should have, like I was trapped inside my own body. The forest spun away beneath me as I rose higher, the log shrinking, the road disappearing. My heart slammed in my chest, and I remember thinking, this is it. I'm never coming back down. The belly of the craft opened above me, not with mechanical doors, but with a seamless parting of its surface, like liquid metal peeling away. Inside was nothing but a blinding white void. As I was pulled in, the cold night air vanished, replaced by sterile, suffocating stillness. I expected machinery, control panels, something that looked like a cockpit. But there was nothing, just smooth, featureless walls that seemed to stretch forever, glowing faintly from within. I was dropped onto a surface that wasn't hard or soft, not metal or plastic. Something in between, something alien. My body finally moved again, but weakly, like my strength had been drained. I scrambled backward, my palms slipping against the glowing floor, and that's when I saw them. At first, they were just silhouettes, forming out of the walls as if stepping through mist. Tall, thin figures with elongated heads, limbs too long, eyes too large. Their skin shimmered with the same pale blue light that filled the chamber. One of them tilted its head, and though its mouth never moved, I heard it, clearer than any voice I'd ever known, echoing inside my skull. Do not fear. But I did. God, I did. My pulse thundered in my ears as they stepped closer, surrounding me, their eyes reflecting every terror I'd ever had. And then the floor beneath me shifted, rippling like water, and I was sinking, falling into light. The sensation of falling wasn't like any fall I'd ever experienced. It was endless, weightless, like being swallowed by liquid light. My body sank through the glowing floor as if gravity itself had been rewritten. My chest burned with panic, and I clawed at the air, but there was nothing solid to hold on to. Then, as suddenly as it began, the fall stopped. I wasn't lying down, I wasn't floating. I was simply there, in a new space. It was a chamber, vast but not in any way my eyes could measure. The walls seemed alive, pulsing faintly like veins under skin, shifting in color from blue to silver to a deep, unnerving black. I turned in circles, but the chamber had no edges, no corners. It bent inward and outward at the same time, playing tricks on my vision until I felt sick. That's when I noticed the table. It rose out of the floor itself, seamlessly grown rather than built, glowing with a faint organic light. My stomach twisted because I already knew what it was for. Before I could run, something seized me. An invisible force, colder than ice, stronger than chains. My limbs locked against my will, my back arched, and I was lifted onto the table. I tried to scream, but my voice caught in my throat. My chest heaved, eyes watering as the panic consumed me, but all that came out was a broken gasp. The figures appeared again. They didn't walk. They slid, smooth and effortless, their long limbs moving in slow, deliberate motions. Up close, their faces were worse than I imagined. Skin translucent enough to reveal faint veins glowing beneath, eyes like pools of black glass reflecting the lightless void of space. One of them leaned close, tilting its head as if studying me. Its gaze locked onto mine, and suddenly memories that weren't mine exploded in my head. Stars being born in clouds of fire, planets twisting from molten rock, civilizations rising and falling in moments. It was like centuries of history crammed into seconds, flooding my brain until I thought my skull would split. I convulsed against the invisible grip, choking on my own breath. Then it ended. Just as fast as it came, the vision snapped away, leaving me trembling, drenched in cold sweat. The being withdrew and another approached. This one carried no tool, no device, it didn't need to. The air around me shimmered, and pain shot through my body, sharp and precise, as though invisible instruments were probing beneath my skin. My chest burned, my veins lit up with fire, and I couldn't even writhe. They were inside me without ever cutting me open. I tried to fight back, to summon anger, but fear smothered everything. The chamber echoed with their voices, not sounds, but thoughts. A chorus of tones weaving into a single question that drilled into my mind. Why do you fear us? My teeth clenched, a scream tearing from my throat despite the paralysis. Because you're not supposed to exist. The words came out raw, broken, but the effect was immediate. The beings stepped back, tilting their heads in unison, as if puzzled. Then one of them moved forward, pressing its impossibly long hand against my temple. My vision dissolved into white, and I was no longer in the chamber. I was standing in my childhood home, my mother's voice calling from the kitchen, the smell of pancakes filling the air. For a moment, I believed it. I wanted to believe it. But then the walls peeled away, melting like wax, and behind them was the void again. My mother's voice warped, layered with static, until it became their voice, echoing the same words over and over. Do not fear. I snapped back to the table, gasping, heart thundering. My body was released, collapsing onto the surface like a rag doll. My muscles trembled, but I forced myself up on my elbows. What do you want from me? I croaked, my voice hoarse, broken. The largest of them leaned close, its face inches from mine, its black eyes endless. And then, finally, it answered, we already have it. The words echoed inside my skull, not spoken but implanted, vibrating in rhythm with the residual hum that never fully left the chamber. We already have it. I had no idea what they meant at first. My mind raced. My memories? My soul? My very essence? But then, slowly, horrifyingly, I realized what they were referring to. They didn't just want me. They had already taken pieces of me. Knowledge I didn't know I had, instincts I couldn't explain, flashes of understanding about the universe that no human should ever perceive. They had stitched themselves into my mind while I had screamed, and now the connection was permanent. I tried to move, tried to fight, but the terror that had gripped me for hours had turned into something deeper. Resignation, a cold understanding that I was no longer fully mine. The beings circled me, their long limbs gliding effortlessly across the pulsating floor, and I saw glimpses of others like me, humans suspended, some silent, some twitching, all connected to the same incomprehensible network of thought that these creatures wove around them. One of the figures bent closer, and this time I heard words in the ordinary way, a voice in English, calm and deliberate. Do not fear. You are part of something greater. You will see, you will understand. But first, you must remember nothing. Before I could respond, before I could protest, the world dissolved again. I felt myself being lifted, carried through light, sensation, time, and space, all at once. And then darkness. When I came to, I was standing at the edge of Pike National Forest, the morning sun weak and pale over the ridge. My Jeep was gone, my camera nowhere in sight. The air was cold but ordinary, birds singing, leaves rustling in the wind. For a moment, I almost convinced myself it had all been a dream, some nightmare born from too many nights under the stars. But the moment I raised my hand to rub my eyes, I saw it, a faint blue shimmer beneath my skin, pulsing like a heartbeat that didn't belong to me. I stumbled back, falling to my knees. My mind was a storm of images, memories, flashes of knowledge that made my head spin. I understood things I could not explain, remembered events that had never happened, glimpsed stars and planets far beyond human reach. And the terrifying truth hit me. They were still inside me. I was not free. That was when I heard it. Not outside, not in the forest, but inside my own head. The hum, low and insistent, and then a single thought crystal clear. We are watching. We are patient. We are waiting. I wanted to run, wanted to escape, but my legs obeyed. My hands trembled. Every instinct screamed that something was following me, though the sky was empty. I walked back toward my town, toward the life I had known, but I knew it was gone forever. I had been changed, marked, and whatever had claimed pieces of me that night would never stop. Weeks passed, months, and still, shadows flickered at the edges of my vision. Lights hovered just beyond the tree line. I would wake at night to that same hum, and sometimes, if I pressed my ear to the ground, I could feel vibrations running through the earth itself, guiding me, warning me, or maybe waiting for the right moment. I never told anyone. Not my friends, not my family. They wouldn't believe me, and the truth was worse than ridicule. I was afraid that speaking aloud might call them back, that they might remember me the way I remembered them, and that the next time they wouldn't let me return. Sometimes I wonder if I am still dreaming, if none of it was real, but the shimmer under my skin tells me otherwise. I catch glimpses of the stars through my bedroom window and see them not as twinkling pinpricks, but as gateways, each one a door to places no human was meant to see. And I know, deep down, that it is only a matter of time before they come again. They are patient, they are watching, and I am already theirs.